Start off and say congratulations to you guys. TNA Tag Team title win. Big moment in your illustrious careers. Uh, I've heard you guys talk about coming back to TNA, showing that it's validation, showing fans that you're not done by any means. Uh, but what does this specific title reign mean to you individually? I'll go to Matt first and then Jeff.
I think it is validation in many ways. Jeff and I have been busting our ass for the last couple of years to try and be in the best shape we can be in, try and be as healthy as possible. And speaking about my brother on a personal level, the last 2 years has been the greatest 2 years of his life, especially on a personal level. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him.
Mhm.
And it became frustrating at one point that our utilization just isn't what we wanted it to be. So we took it upon ourselves to bet on ourselves, and we ended up going to TNA, and we got to TNA. They have a great team, and I feel like everybody there understands how to utilize us and our status as legends, as living legends, right? They put us in opportunities. In positions to succeed, and I feel like we've hit a grand slam every time we've been put in one of those positions.
Yeah, and it's big time validation overall. I mean, it's our, you know, most likely our last run, and to be back in TNA and be the champions again, it really feels good to kind of shine again in the world of pro wrestling. And I think the next couple years are going to be the best years of my career.
Mhm.
Honestly, I feel really good and great about moving forward and helping TNA, expand all over. And I'm just super crazy excited and still so blessed that I love the craft of pro wrestling still.
I want to add something to that what Jeff said, and
Mhm.
this is very legitimate from the standpoint because I saw him do it. We just did Rhode Island Comic Con this weekend, and
Mhm.
we signed for 9.5 hours straight on Saturday. We did a meet
Mhm.
and greet for 9.5 hours. It was insane. Like a lot of people don't even believe until they actually see and witness these things for themselves about how our popularity still exists on a very high level. Especially we're like generational guys. We have
Mhm.
people who watch us as kids, and now they have kids, and their kids are watching the network and our original stuff, and they follow us currently. But every time a fan came through and they said congratulations on the TNA tag titles because we'd put it on their shoulders every time we take a photo or whatever. And Jeff said, please support TNA. It's doing really good stuff. Make sure you do what you can to check out TNA. Every time. He said that thousands of times. And I was so proud that he did say that because we are very proud that we're there. They're doing great things. And I think it's best if all wrestling companies thrive and they're doing as good as they possibly can. I want TNA to do the best it can for the
Mhm.
industry. I want AEW to do the best it can. I want WWE to do the best it can. The more wrestling thrives across all levels, the better it is for the wrestlers, the people in the industry, and the fans.
I want to get back to the convention circuit, but I want to poke the bear a little bit. Jeff, you said that you kind of feel like this maybe is your last like title run, but haven't you had that like individually, like haven't you guys both had that feeling before and then you surprise yourselves like, no, there's still a lot more that we have to offer. So like why do you feel that way, or do you think like you want to prove yourself wrong about that having that feeling currently?
Great
Um,
question. Great question.
yeah, no, I've never really had the feeling of like, oh my God, my career's almost over. Like I do now, it's like different because I'm in such a good place in
Hmm.
my existence and my family. I still have them. They still love me and support me. And that's the main thing in my existence right now, is to be there for him, to be there for them. But yeah, it feels like it's going to be the best run of our careers and possibly the last. But I'm sure as we get further on into it, it'll I'll judge the idea of how I'm feeling physically and mentally and all that stuff. But it's just exciting, to still be doing what we're doing this later in life, and I'm crazy with ideas. I've got a lot of big ideas, and I'm super excited to bring them to life. And yeah, the older and a little bit slower Hardy Boys are not done yet.
And I would like to tag this on too as well. I think when you're as humble and you're as selfless as Jeff is, I almost feel like you're kind of conditioned to say that and think that because you live in that moment.
Now, I did say I want to talk about the conventions because I've seen videos, I've seen in person, you guys have huge lines like everywhere you go. And I know Matt, your co-host, John Alba, he's shared videos too, like it, kind of like saying like if you guys don't believe it, like here's proof, here's how much they draw. Like You go to an event like WrestleCade. Like I know you guys, TNA will have a presence there this year. Uh, the lines are insane. Like there's no denying that. Like you can do like a time lapse video and like kind of follow like where the line starts and ends. But when you guys came back to TNA, did you ever have any talks about not only how you're being used, but maybe where you're being used? Because you know the event we're promoting this weekend, you're going to Fayetteville, not too far away from Winston-Salem. So like those are Hardy fans. Like
Mhm.
do you talk about like maybe it would be good to put us in a spot here where we're like getting to see the Carolina fans, the Southern fans, the people that you know time and time again come out to a convention and see you. Now they get another chance, but to see you in the ring versus just a meet and greet.
Yes, I was very proactive in discussing going to Fayetteville, going to Raleigh. I knew they were going to take part and participate in the WrestleCade weekend. So yeah, I thought that was beneficial. I think we are very much hometown boys, and we have a strong fan base here. So yeah, we did have say on that, and I was interested in that, and it's great because it doesn't have to be North Carolina. We're still pretty popular all over, which is very cool. And I'm so proud of TNA because they have leaned into so many of their things that organically really successful now. I mean, the first thing that stands out is Joe Henry. Joe Henry is authentically, genuinely, legitimately, organically over. People, they grew and they attached to him in such a natural way, and he became such a big star. He's viral. A lot of what he's doing now still reminds me of when Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero first got hot because he is viral everywhere. So that's great. The crossover between NXT/WWE and TNA, I think that's very beneficial because it adds so much unpredictability to the shows, both TNA and NXT. And I think it's really a great example of how to do a relationship, between wrestling brands. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And then myself and Jeff, we're kind of like the older living legends who can still compete at a pretty high level and can still go out there, and if you put us in a position to succeed, we can still do box office. So it feels great, and they're leaning into all those things, and you feel so much momentum happening right now because the last 7 8 uh pay-per-views or premium live events or their TV tapings, there's been sellouts, and that's tremendous for TNA. They're on to something right now, and it's really hot, and I want everybody to join the TNA train because it is rolling and it is full steam ahead.
Mhm. I think it's pretty funny that you guys keep like I guess it comes with when you're at that point in your life, but you keep poking fun about we're the old Hardys, but we can still move. Like I mean you can, and I think like Ricky Morton's a good example of a guy that like yeah he doesn't move like he used to, but he's still I think Ricky Morton's still pretty cool. Like do you aspire to be like at a certain or like a certain wrestler in that regard?
Man, I owe a lot personally to Ricky Morton. I mean, I because of him is the reason I sell like I do, and I'm always trying to make the tag when I'm getting beat up. I mean, that came from just watching him back in the '80s, and I'm so grateful that he's a friend of ours. And so yeah, I've learned so much by just watching, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Freebirds, and I think some of that stuff from the '80s I'm going to be bringing into TNA. I'm going to be recycling that here in 2024, 2025.
Yeah, Ricky is a great guy, and just like Jeff said, it's great to be able to consider him a friend. Ricky was always so humble and so kind to us. We got him booked for Total Nonstop Deletion, an event that was filmed entirely at the Hardy compound. He was in Apocalypto, where we were looking to have like all of the tag teams that we could in this match to prove that we were the best in all space and time. Is what we were doing at that period. So Ricky was out here, and he said because we utilized him, and that became kind of a rebirth for the Rock and Roll Express. He swears up and down like that's what led to his Hall of Fame induction, and he kind of had a rebirth in wrestling and whatnot. And I'm very grateful for that. Ricky has
Mhm.
done so much to help us both out. He's been great to listen to. He's been great to learn from, and he obviously majorly inspired both of us when we were younger. I think Ricky Morton and Shawn Michaels are the two guys Jeff looked to, and that made him become such a great seller in the ring. And Jeff says he shines when he sells, and he truly does. And I think
Mhm.
the people he looked to more than anyone were Ricky Morton and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and I still say your Jeff, your match with The Undertaker on Raw, like still one of my favorite matches of all time, just because of the drama involved, the story, the selling, like you like literally like dragging yourself up to, get back to your feet on the ladder. I think matches like that highlight what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's one when you watch that match still, man, that there's one comeback when I fight back, and it's so exciting, man, because the people are right there with me, but then he just simply lays me out with a punch. But yeah, it's so exciting still to watch that match now and see how inspiring it was to all these new young wrestlers that are here, especially in TNA. It's just so uh, cool when they've been inspired by me over the years, and
Mhm.
so I'm so proud of that.
All right, so let's talk about the match that you won the titles in. Uh, Matt, you kind of teased it before. You said it was a reinvention of sorts. It looks like there was very obviously a Jeff influence. Like, did you paint all of this stuff? Like, did you have help with it, or was that just something you were like you took on yourself?
I took it all on myself, man. I pitched the idea to Tommy Dreamer, and he liked it. And I said, okay, this is going to be a lot of work, but we're going to make it work. It's going to be amazing. And just to be out there in the ring, it was almost like I was in a dream realm or something, or in a Tim Burton movie. It was just, it had a feel to it. Like, oh my God, I did all this, and we're about to have a TLC match, a Full Metal Mayhem match, reimagined. And got to give props to Matt for the reimagined, because I thought my best idea was Full Metal Poetry and Mayhem for the name of the match, because we do a move
Mhm.
called Poetry in Motion. And when I do the poetry in motion over the top rope to the floor, I would always call that Poetry and Mayhem. But yeah, my idea was Full Metal Poetry and Mayhem, but Matt came up with the reimagine, and I think that was perfect.
Matt, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I don't think you understand how much work and dedication and passion Jeff poured into doing these things. He spent 10 days, 10 very long days painting the canvas, doing it over and over. He spent days at TV where we went in early to do media. He would spend the last 10 hours of the day painting tables or chairs or ladders. I mean, he was so passionate about this. And one thing I can tell you about my brother, when he is into something and he really believes in it and he likes the concept, he totally commits to it. He truly does. And I thought it was amazing. I thought it added such a different feel. It was such a Jeff Hardy vibe. It had such a unique look, and you could tell whenever everything was revealed and the crowd first saw it, they reacted to it, and it was nice because it added a little bit of a different flavor to our match. And then we were trying to do some things that were original. We were trying to do some great callbacks, and when it was all said and done, I was thrilled with how Full Metal Mayhem Reimagined turned out.
Yeah, it was also a lot more extreme than probably people probably know, because man, that after all that paint dried on the canvas, it was kind of like sandpaper in spots. And it was my humor is a little strange, but after the match, we were all just filthy with the paint. And then I went up to Matt. And I said, "Man, that was so cool, man. That match was nasty, baby. I mean, that canvas was nasty, baby. Shout out to the Nasty Boys. We were all filthy with that paint, but it was so worth it."
We did. Everybody that was in that match was covered with, like, how sandpaper has like the little particles. It feels like little pieces of sand or whatever, grainy material. We were all covered with that. It was in our hair. It was all on our shirts. It was everywhere, and it was so
Mhm.
funny. It had good traction, if nothing else. You didn't slip in that ring.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that comes up when we think about your careers, whether it's individually or together. Obviously, you talk about TLC, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian. We could talk about version one or Willow. Is there something that you guys would like more attention on, or you would like to maybe it's a future podcast episode for you, Matt? Like, is there something that you guys maybe think go under the radar a little bit as far as your in-ring career?
I think something, and I feel like Jeff would concur with me on this. I think now that we have got to that point where we came back as the original Hardys. You got the Hardy Boys out there. They win tag team gold again. They want to prove they have a great run left in them. I think there is some reinvention for us to both get to. I think that's something that we're gonna do, and I think with the place that Jeff is at in his life, personally and professionally, I
Mhm.
think he's gonna kill it. He's gonna be great at it. I think there is room to use some Broken Matt and some Brother Nero and some Will o' the Wisp, hit those characters, but I also think there is a lot of room to add new characters. And Jeff and I, we've had some ideas, and we've done a little bit of collabing on some things we might do going forward. But I think there is a lot left in this last run of the Hardy Boys, as we're dubbing it, I guess.
Anything to add, Jeff?
Yeah, man, I agree. And number one for me is Willow, the character Willow, the Wisp originally, but I did Willow my last run in TNA. I did it for a little bit,
Mhm.
and this time, man, there's a new mask design I hadn't picked up yet, but it's a new faceplate, and definitely on my bucket list to recreate Willow in TNA at some point, and possibly, man, that broken universe. There's always a portal that we can step through to like bring that to life again, and that's always exciting.
I'll close with this. I'll ask you both. Best part about being a girl dad,
With Jeff.
since
Oh my! Well, I'll go first. Like when we found out we were having two girls. This was before the women's tag team championships kind of became a thing, and I had said like a lot of times, man, maybe I'll have the first Hardy girls, man, to like follow the dream I had when I was a kid, and the Hardy girls will be a team in wrestling and be the champions one day. But my daughters really don't. They enjoy. They're going to the shows this weekend in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but they're not really that into wrestling, so I don't think that's going to happen. But it was an interesting thought, when they were younger. Man, the Hardy girls, Jeff Hardy's daughters are the Hardy girls, and they're the WWE Tag Team Champions. Was a cool thought.
Mhm.
But yeah, being a girl dad overall, I love it. I am so blessed, and we oh my God, they mean the world to me.
Me too. I think the first thing I think that's special about being a girl dad is that I was able to do it because we were really set on we wanted to have both a boy and a girl. And in a perfect world, I kind of thought initially I'd love to have a couple boys and maybe even a couple girls, but it took us, three times getting boys until we got a girl, and finally we did. And it's just I feel like I want to live every capacity that is possible in life, and a big part of that is being a dad to both boys, and a girl. And I think the best thing about being a girl dad is just that you interact with someone that is very different, that is unlike you, not like a boy. It's a new experience because I kind of understand what these boys go through. They fight and they're crazy because Jeff and I, we did that, right? We lived
Mhm.
that. So it's so different with a girl. You get to experience someone who's a little more soft, a little more gentle, and it just she's got me wrapped around her finger, and nothing is going to change that. It truly is special. There's nothing better than being a girl dad.
Yeah, I held off as long as I could on the question because I was like, we have Pikachu doing a pop in. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't want
But
to I didn't want to make him feel left out, but
yeah, yeah.
uh, we
He is the guy. Speaking of wrestling, he is obsessed with wrestling. He is going to
mhm.
be a powerhouse. He is 4 years old, going on 21 already.
All right, watch out. We'll teach him the right way, get him in the right school.
Yeah,
Hey, who
Amen.
knows? Maybe Ricky Morton will still be around to teach him too.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, rock and roll.
All right. Friday, November 8th, Saturday, November 9th. TNA is going to be in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Crown Arena. Anything else you guys want to plug or promote before we close this out?
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, this weekend's going to be amazing, man. We're in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and this is the building that our dad used to take myself and Matt to see WWF and NWA. And that's the only time I ever saw Andre the Giant in my life. And that was the moment in that building when Sting came out. He had neon green tights, the blonde hair, the cool painted face. I didn't know why he painted his face, but I just loved it. And I reached out and touched his shoulder, and then looked at my ass. Oh my God, I want to make somebody feel like he made me feel just now. And sure enough, I've been able to do that, like over and over again, hopefully. But it's going to be special to be back in that building this weekend. And I just saw a picture from an advertisement. It was a picture of me all painted up before the Full Metal Mayhem reimagine match started. And talk about a badass picture, man. It was just, I'm definitely going to repost and promote the show. But so proud of all that stuff. And yeah, it's going to be super cool to be in Fayetteville this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of sentimental value to both myself and Jeff because this is the first building we ever saw a pro wrestling match in, and the main event of the first show we ever went to was Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd, which was wild. It was a WWF show, and then we saw NWA/WCW there so many times, right? And we had dreams of being those guys, being living, breathing superheroes doing that, and we're doing it in the same venue. So that's really cool. And anyone who is from North Carolina, anyone who's from Hardy Country, know that whenever we are in Fayetteville, we go all out, and TNA is bringing a great show. It's going to be a great lineup, and I strongly encourage everyone to show up and try and get your tickets as soon as they can because a lot of the TNA shows are selling out nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great to see too. You keep seeing
Yeah.
I keep saying I don't like getting involved in like the crowd shot stuff, but in this case, it's really nice to see. Like you keep setting records with TNA, so
Yeah.
you know, hopefully it continues. And thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it, and continued success with the tag titles.
As
Well,
always, thank you, Bill. It's great chatting with you.
thanks
Uh,
for having me, man.
all right, you guys have a great day.